right, everybody, here we are back again. We're about to do number 70 through 61. Let's get started.
Number 70.
All right, and our number 70 today is going to be Mission Red Planet. So what you do is you take your astronauts, and each person takes them to Mars, and you go mining for various resources. It's a steampunk type of a game. That you go up there and you mine for different resources, and then there's event cards that come out, and you have certain objectives or events that happen that can make or break what you're trying to do. The thing is, you're also trying to get off the planet on spaceships at the right time as well. So it's real interesting, and it's a real fun game that I enjoy playing. That's Mission Red Planet, my number 70.
Number 69.
All right, and here we are on my number 69. I really enjoy this movie with Fred Savage, if you didn't know, and Carrie, I forgot his last name. Sorry about that if you're actually watching. But it's The Princess Bride. I really enjoy this. It's a nice two-player. I think you can have more, but I played it 2 players. And you're taking your characters through each chapter of the movie, and you're doing objectives that for each chapter in the movie, you're trying to get each objective done. Like you start out in the first chapter and you're farming, and you're just trying to go around, and it's basically a learn the game type of thing, but you're going around and you're trying to farm and get the hay bales and the horses fed, and you're doing all these things. And there's certain events, if you can get those done, it's a bonus to the next chapter. And then you go on the ship, and so on and so forth. And I really just like the cooperativeness of it. I like the theme. It's a good movie that I've enjoyed for many years because it was out early 90s, maybe late 80s. And Princess Bride is classic. So is this game. The Princess Bride is my number 69.
Number 68.
All right, and today we're going to talk about my number 68. Mind management. This is a one versus many, and as you'll see, I do enjoy a lot of these types of games. One person is sneaking around, trying not to get caught, while all the rest of you are trying to sneak around, or not sneak around, trying to find him or her and capture them before the game ends. You have so many rounds to do it, and each round you'll get an extra clue, or you can find clues that will give you a little info on where they might have been or where they might be going, because they have to follow a certain path. Not a certain path, but they can't like cross over what they've already done. So it kind of gives you a little bit of a, oh, I can figure out where they are at this point based on where I know they've been, or maybe I don't know where they've been, and they could go 2 or 3 different ways. But you got a little bit of time to figure it out, and it's tricky to get them before the end of the game, but you can do it. And that's my number 68, Mind Management, a fun, cooperative, one versus many type game.
Number 67.
And now we're going to get to number 67. It's a game that makes you go a little mad, a little crazy, but you got to get to the top of that mountain, or you won't be able to win victoriously with your teammates. Mountains of Madness, my number 67. So you're climbing a mountain, and I really like this kind of a game too, where you're trying to get up a mountain for whatever reason. I really enjoy that type of stuff. It's just something I've always thought was fun. Mountain climbing and whatnot. I've never really climbed a mountain, maybe some hills, but that's about as high as I go. But as you get higher, you can lose some sanity. And each time you go up a little higher, you get a card, and now your insanity has changed. First, you may not be able to say people's names, or you can't talk if they don't talk to you first, or you have to be stuck to the wall going crazy, like the wall's your best friend, but it isn't. And it's really kind of fun to watch your friends go through crazy things that they have to go through while the timer's going, and you're trying to figure out what you're trying to do. So you're sitting there going, how is that going to help me figure it out? Well, it's not. there is no help for you. You have to work as best as you can with your friends and their craziness and your craziness. And that's just an enjoyable time of the game. So that's my number 67, Mountains of Madness.
Number 66.
And now you're wondering about number 66. Let's talk about 66. It's a fun auction game where, well, it's not an auction game. So you get some properties to start off the game. And then from there, you're going to get more properties. And your friends are going to get properties. And they're going to kind of be next to each other sometimes. And you have to like trade with your friends and finagle with your friends. Trying to get as big of properties as you can and win the game with the most points that way. Now, the problem is when you're trading with your friends, they know how much properties you have and what you have out there. So they know that, oh, if I let you get a 4 building, then I know that you'll get more points. So you're going to have to, or more money. So you're going to have to give me some money if you want to trade for this. And this is Chinatown. Chinatown is a great working with your business partners around the table. I don't know if they're partners, but you're working with your business associates around the table, trying to get everybody to make their buildings the way they want. And it involves a little luck because the more you can draw that help you, the less you have to trade with your friends. And then if they really need something you got, then the more advantage you have. It's like, oh, now let's see. Why don't you give me 100,000 for this one? Because you're going to get 200,000 anyway. So give me half of that profit for this next round. And it's really a push your luck guessing. Yeah. Trying to figure out what kind of offers your friends will make with you and give you the best deal in your mind. And I enjoy the fact that you're working with others, collaborating, and yet it's really tricky and hard to be like, ooh, am I going to win if I give you 100 grand? That seems like a lot. What if I do 60 or something like that? And at the end of like, I think it's 4 or 5 rounds, you count up your money and you see who has the most. And there's your winner in Chinatown. My number 66.
Number 65.
And now we're getting to number 65. Margraves of Valeria. This is a great game where you are putting your guys out on the board and you're going from city to city trying to get sets of, I'll call them art, or you're trying to beat some dragons or other monsters to get points, and you're moving up these tracks where you're trying to get as high as you can and keep ahead of everybody else. But at the same time, you can't spread yourself out too thin on the tracks, because going too thin means you're not going to get up high on a track. And the higher you get, the more points you get at the end for winning the game. So you're really kind of spreading yourself out there. You get to grab cards and do some sets. You get to beat some monsters and get some rewards for that, which help you have more items to sell at the markets. And you'll get maybe some cards that will add to your sets. And there's a lot going on. I enjoy the boats that go around in one little area. They're kind of just... It's like they're racing around, just having fun, speeding around in a little pond or lake. But it looks cool and it's very thematic and it does work for the game. And the greatest thing about this game is that you never know who's going to win until the end. It seems to always be tight, at least in my experience. So that's my number 65, Margraves of Valeria. That one's a pretty new game. And I suggest you go out and get it and give it a try if you haven't already.
Number 64.
All right, my number 64 is a 2-player game where you're flying through the air with the greatest of ease. You are a sky team, and you are trying to basically land your plane at the airport without crashing and without hitting anybody else in the air, and you're working with your co-pilot to try and get the plane to stay level and put the nose up right, or get it down a little bit, get your speed in there correctly. You're doing all this stuff, and it kind of relies on your dice rolling a little bit, because if you both have bad numbers for dice rolling, you might be in trouble. But it's nice. You get to work together. You can't say a whole lot during the game, which is a little odd considering thematically this is your co-pilot who's sitting right next to you. So you should be able to talk openly, but I understand why they made you not be able to talk about what you can do. Because if you can talk about everything you can do, the game's just really easy. And you're just like, all right, well, I got a 4, a 5, and a 6. Why don't I just do this? And you do this. And then it becomes an activity more than anything. But the fact that you can't talk to them makes it more of a challenge and more of a game. So it's kind of nice that they have that in there. So I like Sky Team mostly because of the theme. I like planes, and it really fits in where it makes you feel like you're trying to control the plane on the way down, and it looks really cool. It's a little area on the table, but it still looks pretty cool. So my number 64, Sky Team.
Number 63.
When it comes to my number 63, excuse me, we're not skipping ahead today. When it comes to my number 63, it really boils down to that trains are cool. My number 63 is Ultimate Railroads. Or just, I believe the regular game is Railroads, but I've only played the Ultimate version of it. And you got 3 train tracks that you're moving your trains through. And when you get to certain areas, you get more trains and more abilities unlocked. And you're running through the tracks, trying to get to the end of the tracks, because you get bonus points at the end of the track. So you're really like, I need to move these trains a little faster, but how can I do that without causing problems over on this side? So Ultimate Railroads is a neat game where you have cool trains and really neat abilities to move in the trains around on the track, and it feels very thematic. And like I said, I do enjoy Ticket to Ride, so that might explain why Ultimate Railroads gets so high up there on my list here at number 63, because when it comes to trains, you can never go wrong, especially if they're coal trains, because those ones just look cool with all the steam coming out. So that's number 63, if I didn't say that already, or maybe I did. Ultimate Railroads.
Number 62.
Yeehaw! My number 62 is a Wild Tiled West. I like going up the track, racing against my opponents as I try to grab certain parts of my village so that I can shoot down the culprits trying to get in and steal everything, with my sheriff doing all the hard work of saving the lives of millions. But let's not forget that there's also the cows that we need for feeding and drinking the milk. So we got to put out our cows on our tiles, and we got to get out those sheriffs so they can get rid of the crooks that are out there waiting to steal everything we have here in Wild Tiled West. And maybe we'll find a mine or two and get some extra gold. You never know. But there's like 4 or 5 towns on your board, and you're trying to connect them as much as you can and fill up that board with very little extra slots if possible. And you definitely don't want those crooks out there either, because those crooks will steal all your stuff and take away all your points at the end of the game, or at least some of them. But it's really cool watching the getting the sheriffs and getting the bullets and shooting the crooks as you race up these tracks. And you got to make sure that you, every like 6 or 7 turns, you have to make sure that you have the least amount of crooks, and they get added if you want the good parts on your board. So you got to be careful. Do I need that extra really big part that's got like 3 cows, or can I go with something a little smaller that doesn't have a crook on it to cause me problems? You never know what to expect. Here at number 62, Wild Tiled West. Bang, bang.
Number 61.
And finally for today, we got number 61, Call to Adventure. It's really neat that you're going on like a D&D type of an escapade, trying to build up your character. And while you're building them up, each card has a little story that it's kind of making over on it. And at the end of the game, when you get all 3 acts done, which takes a little while, you get to read like the story it made, and you can even create your own story out of it and make it a more in detailed story, and which makes it really fun and thematic, and you feel like you're doing more than just playing a game. You're telling a story, and that's what makes games like Call to Adventure so great, is that it does it really nicely. You're not really doing any take that, but you're not working with everybody else who's also building their own story. But at the same time, sometimes you might want to take and go kill a monster that's out there that would really help somebody else. But for the most part, you're just kind of doing it to save your own hide and get your own symbols, because the more symbols of a certain kind you have, could be extra points, bonuses at the end, because each of your cards that you'll get per act has a different end game scoring. So, but Call to Adventure, it's a really good number 61 here, and again, I'd recommend that one, especially with the expansion, which I'm not sure exactly where it is. I thought it was behind me, but I guess not. But with the new Call to the Wind expansion, I don't think it's new anymore. It makes it really just that much more in depth, and you have more options to go through. So that's my number 70 through 61. Hope you enjoyed all of these. It's only getting better from here. I can't wait to get into the 60s, and more so into the 50s, because that's where everybody knows once you get into the 50s, that's when the games really start to come out and shine. And you know that those are the good games. But these are great games. And those games are amazing games. So we're never going to see any good games on this list, because everything's either great or amazing. So leave a comment of which games out of this 10 you enjoyed the most, and I'll comment back. Maybe some of these games are higher on your list than they are for me, or maybe you're like, what is that game doing on your list at all? It's like, well, I haven't played thousands and thousands of games yet, but I've played well into the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games, maybe even 1,000. I really haven't tried to count it all. So I enjoyed all of these games, and I would play them all again in a heartbeat if somebody wanted to. So enjoy that for now, and keep it real until next time. Take care.